Well, hello everyone. I hope we're live. My good wife is checking things out, and hopefully that went a little smoother than last time. We didn't lose our chat line. So we covered a lot of information in that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments, comments are good. We have some other items coming up. I'm going to show you right here in Canada. And it's easy to do research, I find, in Canada, because when we go in here, we're in Canada, and it takes us right into the meat of things. So I got some juicy stuff, cutting edge, that I'm going to show all you guys. And this will give you a reason why to really look at why am I continuing on in the Jehovah's Witness religion, because it is going to crumble, and it's just a matter of time. I didn't think it was this close. In fact, when I wrote my book, and I hate to always go back to that, but it was a big part of my waking up. And when I wrote the book, and by the way, the book is fictional. It takes you on a journey outside of anything you would believe. You go to this rock in the sky, and this rock is actually cloaked. It's got some cloaking ability, so the astronauts see through it, and from Earth you see the skies. But it's a rock. It's like a little planet, and it's called mid-heaven. And on this planet, on this mid-heaven, this is where the angel drops, this character that was praying. And he gets dropped, and we read part of it. For a lot of you online, you've probably seen part of it, but if you haven't, we have a video where we read the first 6 chapters. But in that book, we go into a spot and we describe what it feels like to be disfellowshipped. And this is in the book. We got up to the point, if you've been following, any of you online, and if you haven't, go back and take the time. We had one lady from California write in and say that she was reading about the storm and global warming, and then her power went out. And then she wrote in the next night and said, yeah, I'm going up the canyon and there's big storms and the power might go out. And we haven't heard from her since. So I'm assuming she got up the cliff. And in the story, you get up the cliff and then you're about to go through the wilderness. And that's where all the tests are. And this is no normal mid-heaven. It's just not, you get up through the pearly gates. You see, Mr. Doe got there. He was an ex-JW, Mr. Doe. He got up there, and the angel wouldn't let him in, because the angel said, "You're not conscious. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, you're not conscious. You're following a program. You're following a program that's designed by people." And so when Mr. Doe got up to the pearly gates, he wasn't conscious, and so the angel says, "I can't help you. You can't go." And he says, if you say a prayer, you might get some help. And this is what I encourage all Jehovah's Witnesses to do, or ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, is to just go to God, go to Yahweh. Try using that word in your prayer, because it is a more accurate word if we want to talk about accuracy. But so many times when I was in the religion for 30 years, I had to go to God, Jehovah. I used that name at the time. And I remember when I was I got baptized, and a year later I was disfellowshipped. And I didn't try to get disfellowshipped. It sometimes just happens. And that's why I talk about sexual sins. You know, they talk about that. That happens to a lot of young people. And you're 18, you can't have sex. And the girl I wanted to marry, they wouldn't baptize her. She was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. Here I am. I came out of the world. I got baptized, and I had a lot of zeal. I loved the ministry. I hate to say that on this channel, but I think there's different forms of ministry. We talked about the food bank, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some of this stuff. But when I was young, I was in the religion, and I was searching for love. And I'll probably write another book about this. I'll have to use another name, though. But anyways, we'll have to figure that one out, because a lot of our life surrounds people, and I would hate to, on this channel, talk about anybody in a way that would insult them or make them feel bad, because I know that all of these people are going to wake up sooner or later. And one day when the power goes out in Jehovah's Witness headquarters because they can't pay the bills and they're paying too much in legal fees all over the world, pretty soon they can't pay the bills. And these are all corporations that rely on donations, and people are given as much as they can. But after a while, the people will get tired within the religion because the headlines will come out. And it's not our work. It's not the apostates. They call us bad people. But I'm just trying to fix my faith, And if you look at my story, I didn't try to leave the religion by any means. I tried to change help things along the way in a lot of different ways. And I finally got discouraged and walked away. And that's what happened. I didn't go out. And I left the religion for years. And then one day, just when the virus started, I met this guy in the grocery store. He's an elder, an old friend of mine. And I really respected him. And he wasn't an elder anymore, but I said to him, one of my Bible studies, old Bible studies up north, decided he wanted to start studying. And I didn't know what to tell him because I'd quit. And so I said, would you study with him? And he said, sure. And so I made the connection. And of course, he started studying. And within 3 months, I was demonized. My friend phones me up and says, no, I can't associate with you no more. And I couldn't figure this out. I just met the guy in the grocery store. We shook hands. We almost hugged, but we didn't because of the virus. So it was really disturbing to me. And I tried to reconcile it for a couple of years later, and I couldn't. And that's why I started this channel. My wife said, start writing things down. You got unresolved issues in your mind. You got to deal with them because it's not healthy. And so that's what I started doing. And eventually, you get a book and then you move on. Now, moving on wasn't that easy because it took until now 7 months to get where I am now. But at the start, when I started uncovering all the lies and all the deceit, I'd get angry. I'd throw down the Bible and I'd say, why, how could I believe this all those years? And I started looking at myself to, thinking I must be stupid. And I was in a cult, and then I started researching that. That took about 3 months to figure out it was a cult. I couldn't. And then I figured out that all religions are really cults, Some are just more strict than others, that's all. You could be in the Catholic Church, and I think we talked about this, and if you're disfellowshipped or excommunicated, you just don't get to take those crackers. You can go for dinner and do anything else. Go to the movies, talk with people. You just don't get to take those crackers, those communion crackers, that's all. That's not a big deal to me. But maybe if you're trying to be a priest or something, maybe it's a big deal, eh? So, I don't know. Jehovah's Witnesses are all trying to be priests, basically. They're trying to be ministers, all of them. And this is another issue I found after I left the religion, is not everyone is cut out to do the ministry. And if you really research the writings, it says that in the Bible, in Paul's writings. He says, no, we're not all cut out of the same slate. Some of us are ministers, some of us are this, some of us are that. And we need people of all sorts to make a world work. And I think that's what balance is within communities. And we get some of these small churches. We have a little Alliance church down the road there. We always threaten to go there, but we never have. But, some of these small churches, if you feel you need to be part of a group, get involved with ones. There's lots of them. And you'll know what's comfortable. Pray to God. Pray to Jehovah. Pray to Yahweh. And you'll get the answer. Because if you're searching for spirituality comes to you. That's what I think. So now I want to do a little bit of a survey online here. And everyone that's been disfellowshipped, just put a 1 in, just number 1. Just cue in, put number 1 in, and give us an idea of who of us have ever been disfellowshipped. Now, when I first got disfellowshipped, I was like 18, 19, 20, 21. I just got baptized 1983. Long time ago. And in them days, if you were an associate, let's say they call them an unbaptized publisher. So my ex-wife was an unbaptized publisher, raised as a Jehovah's Witness from birth, third generation. Her grandfather went to see Rutherford at Cedar Point, Ohio. Drove all the way down there. So they were heavy into it, and their whole family had issues, CSA issues. But that's another story, and I can't talk about that. But getting back to this disfellowshipping, it was 6 months, and they reinstate you pretty quick on your first time. But over the years, and it's kind of it's a dark period of time, and I write about this in the book, what it feels like being disfellowshipped. And I put a little bit of poetry in there. And it's like crawling through the desert in pitch dark, and you're crawling. And you can call up to God, but he's not answering, it seems like. And you see, what happens in the mind, in our own mind, we disfellowship ourselves. This is something we do to ourselves. We allow the men to do this to us. And then inside our minds, we shackle up ourselves and we lock ourselves up and we believe in this stuff. And that's why it's so important to step outside of all of these religions and look around and look for the commonalities. And we talked about this in the last in the video, so we won't. But I want to show you something interesting here. Where are we? We could pull up this. We talked about this in the video, but I want to pull up something else. And it's here. This here. Now, who of you believes in this? And through a man, and though a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. Now, how would you interpret that? That's King Solomon speaking. I like Ecclesiastes. It talks about some really neat things. Now, this could be you could have a partner, a roommate. Okay, and when I was young, that's how we started. We couldn't afford rent, so we three of us guys actually were JWs, and we're all doing different things, just trying to get through life, and we all rented a house together, split the rent, and it was a cool experience. I wouldn't recommend it, and then there was just two of us. Now, two works. Now, there's just me and this other guy, and we got along good, and we lasted a long time, and we rented the house. We kicked the third guy out because he was too messy. But anyways, that's another story. But two people, and that's what this scripture says. And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him. So it doesn't say his wife, but it says two people, and a threefold cord. Of course, a common denominator would be God, and then we have a lot of strength in a relationship. So all relationships are important, and if we take it one step further, Ecclesiastes talks about when two lie down together, they can keep warm. Well, it doesn't have to be married people. If two people, two men, two women, doesn't matter, could be a man and a woman. Maybe they're not even dating. They're just wandering through the wilderness and it's cold. We're in Canada and it's cold, below zero. And there's a storm blows in, you have to make a fort, and you start to freeze. Well, you're better to take all your clothes off and lie down together to keep warm, and you can save your life. And they teach that in outdoor education right up here in Canada, and we're taught these things. We teach our kids these things. So it's nothing to do about homosexuality or anything like that, but that's the best way to survive and keep warm. And two people, and the Bible talks about it. Now, of course, it really works well when you apply it to a marriage, because you can make a marriage work. And the reason I have this scripture up is because if it wasn't for my good wife back there, a lot of this wouldn't be happening. So the two of us, we work together, and we're able to keep this channel going. And it takes a bit of work. Now, we talked a bit about this news in Calgary and what's happening in Calgary. Now, the shunning in Calgary, and I'm going to move my picture here a little bit, just so you can see more of the screen. And so in Calgary here, we looked a little bit about this, and we talked about the Hutterites, the First Nations, these groups shunning as well. And this is a common thing. So that wasn't passing the shunning. So then we started looking at discrimination. So some of the other European countries are going after discrimination. Now, the one we showed you in the video, they only got a lawsuit of what, 12,000 euro. So up here in Canada, that'd be like $25,000 Canadian. But they got 12,000 euro. Well, here in the Brussels, this they got 96,000 euros. Now, that'd be close to $200,000 Canada. Now we're talking for discrimination, and it's happening. It's happening. Jehovah's Witnesses are being fined for discrimination and incitement to hate, and it sets a precedent in Belgium that religious doctrine cannot be used as an excuse to break human rights laws. So it's happening, folks. And this shunning, so not only sexual abuses, Jehovah's Witnesses that are shunning to the degree that I feel I've been shunned up here in Canada, where the elder would phone my friend and say to demonize me. Why would you do that? I just shook his hand in the grocery store and gave him a study. I walked out. I wasn't disfellowshipped. I was disgruntled. I'm allowed to be disgruntled. I never did no apostasy work. In fact, I believed in the doctrine all the way up until I started researching it, and that was a year ago. And then as I started relearning what taught me the truth, I relearned it was a lie all the way through, so many places. So that's not what this talk is about. It's about these lawsuits and what's happening. Well, here's another one. Class action against the Jehovah's Witnesses. On February 27, 2019, the Superior Court of Quebec, and this is Canada, authorized the bringing of a class action on behalf of Miss Lisa Blaze against certain Watchtower entities regarding alleged sexual abuses on minors within the Jehovah's Witness organization, as well as the alleged negligent handling of these sexual abuses. And I went down here, and on December 11, 2020, the Court of Appeal of Quebec rejected the appeals from the Jehovah's Witnesses. They rejected them, therefore confirming the judgment rendered by the Superior Court of Quebec authorizing the exercise of a class action. So you can look at this yourselves. You can do some research. That's as much information as I have now. And what I noticed was you could pull up this guy. There's a lot of lawyers now advertising in Canada online. If you've had sexual abuse problems within the Jehovah's Witness religion in Canada here, just type it online and start clicking in. There's a class action on its way. And you might as well get involved and get part of the payouts, because it's all been hidden. Every bit of it's being hidden. I could say a lot of stories here right now, but I can't, because these stories may be used in court. And these Jehovah's Witnesses that are still not conscious, they're still asleep within the organization, and all of this sexual abuse happened around them, and the elders did not report it. All of these class actions are going to take place, and there's tons of them. Every congregation. I've been in 9 congregations, not on purpose. When I was young, I hopped around. The company I was working for, I was single. They were a fire alarm service company, so they trained me in Edmonton, then they shipped me to Calgary, and then I got a transfer to Red Deer. So I moved, within 2 years, I moved 3 cities. And then all the work was out of town. I was always out of town. So it took me like 2 years to actually become qualified to be baptized, because I was always out of town working. But anyways, lots of, I went through the 9 congregations I went through, alcoholism and sex abuse, lots of it, hidden. So now, here it is, 9 things you likely didn't know about Jehovah's Witness. This is CTV News, Canadian television news. They're pretty good. We have good newscasters up here, and they do a lot of research. So if you have a chance, you can look at this up here in Canada. Now, all I'm going to show you at this point here is we're going to talk about the wealthiest. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses here, they are one of Canada's wealthiest and least transparent charities. So the Jehovah's Witnesses organization is a registered charity, which means they pay no income tax. Of the 86,000 registered charities in Canada, they rank 18th with more than 80 million in donations in 2016. So this is old news, 2016. But they're pulling in 20 million in donations. So in Australia, they were only pulling in 32 million. So Canada is a very wealthy Jehovah's Witness group. And charity intelligence. So I thought, let's go to somewhere else. So I went to this charity intelligence, and I don't know if they have this in other parts of the world where you're viewing from, the US or Australia. But this charity intelligence up here, I went to it. And it's in Canada here, and they monitor all this stuff. They monitor charities. And you can plug in, let's say you want to do a charity, you can plug into the computer and find the charity. And I'm going to show you here who donates most of your money to help people. Now, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, I plugged them in. They came up. And here's what it says. You see, there's no stars there. No stars at all. I'm going to go over really quick here to the Catholic Church. I pulled up the Catholic Church. Well, at least in Toronto, they got 2 stars. 1 star here, 4 stars, Downtown Mission of Windsor. So they're doing something. I bet you they're down there. Oh yeah, it says they're a homeless shelter. So here you go, downtown, and these guys monitor every charity. So they don't just monitor the whole Catholic, they monitor each part of the Catholic Church. And they get a 4 star. That's huge. First Alliance Church gets a 3 star. What are they doing? They're doing something in Calgary. They're helping people. I'll tell you that. You're not even getting a star. If you're not helping people, you're not getting anything on this chart. They monitor this in Canada. Now, I want to show you something else before we get into the JW stuff. I wanted to know a little bit further. Christmas time, the Salvation Army is jingling bells, and they're pulling in donations, right? You've seen them. I've seen them. I've thrown in a loonie or 2 here. So I wanted to see how much is actually going. Well, it depends. Cambridge Self-Help Food Bank, they get a 4 star. So they're doing a good job. Now we go to the Toronto Salvation Army. They only got a 2 star. Why? I don't know. Maybe money's going into someone's pockets in that organization. See, each charity is kind of run separate. Now, I go to the Yellowknife one up in the Arctic where they really need this stuff. And I actually do a lot of work in the Arctic, or had. No stars. They don't even make the chart. So what's happening? It makes me wonder. So now I'm asking, where would I donate? If I wanted to help someone, where would I go? If I really want to help people, well, I plugged in food banks, just food banks. And Calgary Food Bank got 5 stars. You don't get 5 stars unless everyone's a volunteer and everything's going to helping people. Everything. And that's what they got here in our province, in Calgary. They got a 5 star at the food bank. And I think that's phenomenal. And that's why I tell people, if you really want to donate your time and really feel good and you're an ex-JW and you miss helping people and you miss going out and the preaching work, here's where you can do it. And you can talk religion all you want there in those lineups. People love talking. And the people are in there and they're down and out. And someday, if you ever need help and you're a Jehovah's Witness, and I can say this for a fact because I'm a 30-year veteran and I've seen so much. But if you need help and you're an orphan or a widow, you won't get it from the Watchtower. The Watchtower won't give it to you. Maybe you're lucky enough that someone in the congregation may help you. Or maybe the local congregation takes up a little bit of a donation to help you, but they can't do it forever because they have their own families to look after. And the organization, the Jehovah's Witness organization, is not set up at all to help people. And in fact, I'm going to show you how much they don't do. According to the professionals, the Charity Intelligence of Canada. These people are not liars. You can phone them yourselves. So Jehovah's Witnesses like to think, and the governing body likes to think, that everything online is a lie. This is not lies, folks. You guys can check this stuff out. These are the governments. And I'm going to show you what Jehovah's Witnesses are doing. So financial transparency, nothing. They got an X. They failed. Results for reporting, they failed. They don't report their charity. Demonstrated impact, low, bottom. Need for funding, none. They're in the red. They have so much money. Sense to the cause. For every dollar donated, they have 99% that can help people in charity, and that's why they're in the red. That's why they're the richest organization, one of them in Canada. They give nothing. So now we go on, and you want to know a little bit. So they give a really good overview here about the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. Well, I was looking here, and according to the Watchtower T3010 filing with CRA, it spent $10.9 million on international programs and activities, and this is just for Canada, in 2021, of which $8.7 million went to the Watchtower. So they claimed on their taxes in Canada here that they spent $10.9 million on international programs, of which $8.7 million went to New York. Can you believe that? This is here. Now I'm going to move I'm going to move this up so you guys can see that, because take a picture of that. That's you see this charity intelligence in Canada, they show everything. They can't hide it. The Watchtower cannot hide it. And I guarantee you folks, right now as we're speaking, all the Commonwealth countries all over the world are doing just this. And this is brand new. This is rate 2021 taxes. This is just recent. And we see that the Watchtower, what they're doing. So they go on to talk about the Watchtower printed 33.5 million copies of the Watchtower magazine, 41 million Bible-based tracts, 4.9 million copies of the Awake, and 8,500 Bible-based brochures. They got some accurate counts. These literature items were free for the public, congregation members throughout Canada, the United States, the Caribbean, and Guyana. The charity reported that it did not have any paid employees in 2021. Results and impact. So maybe this isn't for Canada. Oh yeah, no, this is Canada. About the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society in Canada. So now, but this is talking about globally here. So results and impact. The Charity Intelligence has evaluated Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Canada and found the charity to have a low demonstrated impact per dollar. While the CI highlights these key results, they may not be complete representation of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society results and impact, because they're not transparent. The Watchtower doesn't show anything. And they quit showing. Do you notice if you're in the Watchtower, when I was in it, they had a yearbook, and every year they'd show all this stuff and all their growth and all this stuff. Kind of a little bit of a spreadsheet, but not really, because they hide it all. The only way to see the real spreadsheet is you have to see the tax receipts and how they're filing it. And I think the governments aren't liking it. That's what I'm seeing here. Watchtower is a major 100 charity of Canada's largest charities in terms of donations. So Watchtower is getting a lot of donations from their people, folks. It received $95.2 million in cash donations in 2021. Watchtower, and this is in Canada. Watchtower's administrative costs are less than 2% of the revenues, because everyone volunteers their time for free, and the charity does not report fundraising costs. For every dollar donated, 99 cents goes to the cause, which is outside CI's reasonable range for overhead spending. When a charity reports overhead spending of less than 5%, it sometimes suggests that the numbers are inaccurate or misreported, and here they're at 99%. So Watchtower has a $96.3 million in funding reserves once $11.5 million in debt is accounted for. This compares with the funding reserve of $27 million in 2020 and $11.7 million in 2019. This $108 million increase in funding reserves over the past 2 years can now cover 330% or 3 years or 4 months of its annual program costs with reserves. So Charity Intelligence has sent this update to the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Canada for review. Changes and edits may be forthcoming, updating June 16, 2022 by Sydney Alexia. And then it goes on to even give more salaries and administration costs of the Watchtower here in Canada. Cash flow from the operations. You'd have to be a bit of an accountant. Maybe some of you guys are online and you want to get into this. You can help us activists out a bit. Read some of this stuff. Comments added by the charity. It just talks about how it's all voluntary. This, I just started looking at this tonight, so I'll be researching this kind of stuff on this channel more and more. I might look into some of the other Commonwealth countries and see if they're doing the same, but this is an eye-opener. And any of you looking in, any Jehovah's Witnesses, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, anybody that's contributing to the Kingdom Hall, I'd recommend that you stop it right now, because they like to get a hold of your debit cards. And they have auto debits coming out, and cancel all of that. And if you want to help people, and you're going to do in God's eyes, if you follow the example of Christ when he broke the bread and fed people, that's what Christ did with his powers. What is the Watchtower doing with its powers? It's printing. It's just printing. And by the way, the money that they do send overseas, and there's only like 3 or 4 million in this report, because they sent everything else to the Watchtower headquarters. So Watchtower headquarters is sucking all the money out of the Canadians, out of all the countries, and so all the countries work hard for their money, and none of the money is residing in the country. You see, and you have 8 men that are doing this, and only the men within the 8 can vote or change each other. If you wanted to delete a member, it's only the 8 that can. You can't do this outside. So what do they call this in real life? This is a cult. That's how cults work. It's not. It's run as a business, but it's a cult, because they do show. We've heard reports that there's something like 500 shareholders, but only these 8 men make all the decisions, and they have the Watchtower spread into some shareholders apparently. So I have to do more research, and it's interesting what we find when we research. So we will be doing more on the Watchtower. And you notice today on the Watchtower headlines, I'm just going to get rid of my camera. So you notice on the Watchtower here, they're featuring fear-mongering. And this is how the Watchtower keeps, right now, this is how they're keeping everyone in the organization from looking outside, fear-mongering. And they're showing all the disasters. And they've been doing this forever, fear-mongering. Will extreme weather ever be brought under control? And this is a big thing. And then they get into the politics and the rioting here, you see, and they want to put us in that category. So it's sad. This is what's happening. But I think we're coming to an end of the channel. And do we have any questions?
The general agreement is cults suck.
Yeah. So did we figure out how many of us has been disfellowshipped online?
Or ask for disfellowshipped or shunned.
Or shunned, yeah, you know. So if you're disfellowshipped or shunned, put a 1 in, just so we know. And we do a count, but you don't have to. You know, it's private, really. I'm not asking for that. I talk about my stories like they're nothing, but it doesn't matter. I'm older. And as you get older, you don't care anymore.
Are you on?
So I think we're on. I could stop streaming, but yeah, I think we're going to close her down. So I think we're good. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight. I was really impressed with the attendance.
They're giving you 1s now.
And, I'm seeing some 1s coming in.
Yeah. You've gone off the screen. Put yourself back on the screen.
Am I not on the screen? Oh, yeah. You can hear me, though, right?
So, yeah,
there you go. Now you can see me.
There's a possibly like...
I'm just learning this whole studio. It's called OBS. I always call it OSB, but my wife corrects me and says it's OBS. You know what OSB is.
So,
OSB is plywood. We use it for farm repairing sheds and stuff. So I call this OSB.
Look at your chat.
Okay, chats. What do we have here?
We got disfellowship people.
We got some here. 1-1.
What's a 2?
Yeah.
JW's no truth. What's a 2?
Yeah. Yeah.
He says nice hair.
Which hair? I thought he shaved them all off tonight. Any more questions? And then we're gonna close it down. Would you guys? Now we had some good attendance, and I noticed some more came in later. Do you think we should start this channel around 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time? We can run a survey on it, but
What do you think?
We were starting it at 7. Maybe if we started it at 8, we could capture more of an audience. Or, sorry, maybe another time. Maybe Tuesday nights there's meetings and stuff for Jehovah's Witnesses. So, if you guys have any ideas, I don't know how long this chat stays open, but we could run a bit of a survey on it to everyone on our channel. But right now we have it kind of set for 7, and then you run I'll make a video. We'll run just like we did this week, and we'll choose a subject for next week. So, and I'm going to try to keep up in the news and use this as kind of a little bit of a news thing. See what's coming out of the news. There's always news coming out. And now with all these class action lawsuits, that's going to be interesting to see how the Watchtower can afford to build Ramoka. What's that place called? Ramapro?
Yeah.
Ramacro.
I don't know.
No, Ramapro.
Yeah.
Ramapro. So that's what they're looking for. And I think that's why all these countries are sending their money there. 12, like the Canadians sent 12 million 12 to the Watchtower, and only like 3 million got sent out to help people. 3 million's nothing. You start sending 3 million out to help disaster countries, and that's like buying people a bottle of water. It's nothing.
JW's No Truth says not 7:30. That's to Jehovah E.
So we're flexible on this channel. What's ever best for the audience. We would do one show like this a week, and at a later date, when we can open up and get some phone lines coming in, we're going to start up our JW Night Talk, and we're going to start that up again with phone lines where you can actually call in and talk, and it'll be a different venue. It won't be news. We're going to keep this like an evening news, so we thought Tuesday, we could do a Wednesday news, but Tuesday we'll keep this as a news broadcast dealing with that, and then we'll have a JW Night Talk where people can get online and more later at night, different venue. That's what we're working towards. So we appreciate everyone joining tonight, and if you know friends, neighbors, and fellow, even Jehovah's Witnesses, there's nothing here scary. We use the Bible. I was in the organization for 30 years, and to be quite honest, you can be in the organization, be a Jehovah's Witness, and still be serving God, as far as I'm concerned, because it's between you and God. There's no one else that can judge you except God, Jesus. We can't judge the Jehovah's Witnesses that are in. I was in it, and I was serving God. As far as I'm concerned, right now, I'm awoken. I just know more. As you wake up, you learn more about the founders. You realize it's a business. These guys aren't prophets. They make end times. They use fear-mongering with the weather and wars in Russia to try to scare people, and it's part of the money. It's just part. Russell started this, and it's a good gig. All the religions are doing it. And so you step outside of religion, and you realize that they're all doing it. It's a moneymaker. And they're not donating to charity. The Catholics, all these big religions are not donating to charity. The Mormons, I even went online on the same charity thing, and I didn't want to show it all, but the Mormons, no stars. So I thought the Mormons were doing a lot for charity, but I think the Mormons do more within, and they're more concerned about their own inside welfare program. But what do I know? I'm just going by the charity, and then I plugged in the Seventh-day Adventists. Didn't show they were doing any charity anyway. So these food banks are the place that are doing the charity, and
They're very busy right now.
I think that's where the money should be going. Because if I was out of work, I would be going to the food bank, and so would you. So isn't that where you want your charity going, your money, instead of giving it to the Kingdom Hall? That's my vote, and that's all I can say. So until next time, friends, keep living your life with love. Bye for now.